Hello, class, and welcome back to the Nerd Academy podcast, where even these classes are being held remotely. I'm your host and headmaster, Jared the Dark Jedi Bachman Stubbs, and joining me all the way from his house remotely is Travis Black Leader Grossman.
Even remotely.
Even remotely, you gotta crack that soda open. We have a decent news week. One of those stories is going to be a little lengthy, because I just love talking about Zack Snyder and all of his shenanigans.
It's not even the fun Zack Snyder stuff, though. Like, he didn't go on another tirade about how the Snyder Cut exists.
Well, a lot of people, we'll get into that later.
I haven't read any of it, by the way.
Good.
I'm going in blind.
That is what I like to hear. But yeah, we have a decent amount of news for you guys this week, and then Travis and I will be talking about what we're watching, reading, and playing to get us through these wild times that we're going through. Travis, how was your week, buddy?
It's all been blended together. It hasn't even been a week. It's been like 48 hours.
I'm jealous.
You know what I mean?
I'm jealous. It's only felt like 2 days for you.
Like, sleep isn't a thing I schedule. It's just when it happens, it happens. You know, it's like, oh, that's how I've been playing. Like, oh yeah, I can just do this now. Like, it's like 3 a.m. I'm like, yeah, I can do some homework. Oh yeah, I can just play Assassin's Creed. It's fine.
So yeah, I've had this like really weird thing where like, and maybe it's because I have my own like micro OCD, but like part of me is like, I feel weird playing video games during the day. Like if the sun is out, if I'm playing video games, I feel weird. And it's like taxing on my brain.
I feel like I'm wasting time, even though I'm not. Like, I am, but like it feels like I should be doing something else. But when it's 3 a.m., it's fine. Like it's like this is the proper way to waste my time, not sleeping like my body needs.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and there's certain activities that I'm like, it's my only option. To like, you know, play something or do something that I'm like, well, this is the only thing I can do, but like it feels weird doing it while the sun's out. Because normally if I have it in me, I'll be up playing, you know, Battlefront or something for a couple hours at night, and after I come home from work, you know, have dinner, maybe have a drink or whatever, and that feels normal. Or like on a Saturday, because so many of my consecutive Saturdays I'm off. And what has happened is I'm off on Saturdays. Like past few times we've just gone to lunch, assuming I didn't have something else to do on that Saturday, and then did something with the rest of my day, and then came home late at night and slept all day Sunday and went to work that night. This has just been such a weird culture shock where like every day feels like a midday on Sunday for me. And it just feels so weird and icky. Like, you know, you were saying like it feels like 2 days have passed for you. I feel like my birthday was a month ago and it was on this past Wednesday. Like it doesn't feel normal. And like none of this, like the timetable, the progression of time just feels so out of whack anymore, and I can't stand it. But yeah, and that's my only thing is I turned 22 on Wednesday. So
good for you, buddy.
Yeah, I know. I've made it another turn around the world. I've leveled up, as some would say. And
I think others would say you've leveled down, honestly. It's only down. Like, the next big milestones are when you can rent a car, but you don't drive, and when you're off your parents' health insurance.
Yeah, that's true.
Left.
Yeah. Oh, and when I qualified for like senior citizen discounts. But let's be honest, we're not going to be alive that long.
We're not getting that far. The Earth's got another like maybe 5 years.
That's assuming we make it through this.
Yeah, that's my rough estimate.
Unfortunately, I think you might be onto something. With that, I'm going to hop right into some news. So this is a little fun tidbit here from comicbook.com. Doctor Strange writer reveals that Jessica Chastain turned down in a Marvel Studios role. Jessica Chastain obviously played the antagonist in Dark Phoenix, the alien race that I'm not even going to take a swing at.
You say obviously like someone else other than us saw it.
That's fair. The interesting thing is that she was offered a role in Doctor Strange and turned it down. She would have been playing, and I want to get her name right.
His love interest, right?
Yeah. And it shows how little the movie put into her, because I can't remember. Trying to find it. Rachel Mc... No, that's the actress.
That's the actress.
Christine Palmer. Yeah, Christine Palmer. Yeah, I'm kind of glad she turned that down, because that leaves the door open for Jessica Chastain to actually play a more important character. And she's a phenomenal actress. I love little stories like this about like the actors who almost played certain roles and how things could have panned out. Obviously, Collider.com has made an entire cottage industry of just, hey, Tom Cruise almost played Iron Man, so we're going to lay off our podcasting staff so that we can make more of these. But I like these little hypotheticals. In this case, I'm glad they didn't pick her, or she turned it down at least. Because again, we can get her in a role down the line, and I think that she could definitely lend her services to the MCU in a much more meaningful way. It's a shame that
MCU? The cinema's dead. we don't get movies anymore.
No, it's okay. It'll all go straight to streaming, and then we're all going to cry when the movie theaters start getting demolished.
Bigger casino, baby.
Yeah, much bigger casino. But yeah, I think this is interesting. This is right up there with when Leo DiCaprio almost played both Spider-Man and Anakin Skywalker. And things of the like.
You just say this is up there with Leo DiCaprio almost playing Anakin Skywalker?
I mean, in that it's cut from the same cloth of the whole,
it's the same cloth, but this is the thread that you picked off because it was kind of hanging off, and Leo is the entire blanket. Major, almost Academy Award-winning actor, almost plays lead role in, worldwide famous trilogy versus very good actress almost has side role in movie of 20 film franchise.
That's fair. That's very fair. I would love to see the alternate reality where Hayden Christensen, or not, I mean, again, no hate towards Hayden, but I really want to see the version of Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith that has Leo DiCaprio in it.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing at both what you just said and please tell me Lexi just sent you a Snapchat.
Hold on. One moment.
I need to know.
Oh. And we're back. We were both sent a very funny message by a mutual friend of ours, and needed to take a second to call her and decompress on that.
Several minutes.
We needed a moment. That was fantastic. Anyway, yeah. So hopefully we can see Jessica Chastain in the MCU in the future in a more meaningful role, which I think she would deserve. Moving right along from that, Travis, you want to take this story since you've actually played Ultimate Alliance 3?
Sure, but not very much. In fact, I'm looking at the game case right now. It's sitting on my very dusty PS3, which is right in front of my Switch. And yeah, apparently it's getting some DLC called Shadow of Doom. The new content focuses on the Fantastic Four as well as Doctor Doom, whose presence... Okay, I guess because they had the DLC roster spoiled.
Yeah.
However, the DLC has a secret 6th playable character, which is unlocked by completing Ultimate Mode. It unlocks the second version of Thanos that uses the Infinity Gauntlet. Neat.
Yeah, really cool. So you said you did play it at least a little bit?
Yeah, I got through like the first couple hours.
Okay.
Because the game came out and I played it, and then either another game came out that I was more focused on, or I just like school kicked up or whatever.
I think that might have been right around the time Sword and Shield and then Fallen Order dropped.
No, it was before that. Hold on.
It was? Did you get it at launch? I feel like you got it after launch.
No, I got it like about a week after it launched.
Okay. Well, since you have played a little bit of it,
it came out in July.
Holy Christ. Did you play the first two Ultimate Alliance games?
I've definitely played them, but I never owned them. Like, I'd be at somebody's house and we'd play them.
Okay. So here's my question. As somebody who loves that franchise and has not, because of quarantine, not been able to get their hands on a Switch with their birthday money because I really wanted to play Ultimate Alliance 3 and Smash Brothers. Is this game seemingly canon to the other two?
I have no idea.
Because Doom dies at the end of the first one.
I don't know enough about the stories in either games to tell you that.
Okay. I wasn't sure because like there's like a throwaway line in the second game with one of the dialogue trees where the Tinkerer is like, yeah, well, there is a way Doom could have survived. Because Doom doesn't technically die. Towards the end of the first game, Dr. Doom basically siphons the power cosmic and like all of Odin's power and uses it to like create dark replicants of all of Earth's heroes. And the game ends with like you weakening Doom to the point where Odin is able to just kind of like zap him into eternal prison. But as far as the rest of planet Earth is concerned, Doom's pretty much dead. Like at that point, there's no real difference. And then when all hell's breaking loose with the nanites in Ultimate Alliance 2 during the Civil War, the Tinkerer, there's like a throwaway line of like, well, who could be doing this? And the Tinkerer's like, well, it could be Mr. Sinister, it could be Doom. And your player character, whomever you're playing as, is like, didn't Doom kind of do a dead? And he's like, well, you never know with Doom, you know. So I really want to play 3 now because I want to know if they're like, if either this isn't canon or this is one of those situations where the DLC isn't canon. And they're just like throwing characters in for the sake of being like, hey, isn't this cool? Because I don't think Doom was ever playable on the first one. He's only, the final boss. And as a big Dr. Doom fan, this excites me whenever I can eventually get my hands on the game. But yeah, I was just curious if you knew if this was them saying that Doom is alive and well now. Well, I'm going to have to find out for myself. And we should make a night of playing Ultimate Alliance. The second, I'm dog shit at the first one. I could not beat the first one. And it was one of those, like, I played it when I was a kid and thought it was just because I was a kid and dumb and didn't understand video games that I was bad at it. And then I revisited it when I was like 17, 18. And I was like, I'm still very bad at this. But the second one's a breeze, for me at least. So would very much enjoy playing that with you. Also, you're Team Iron Man as well. So we would have fun being on the right side of history.
You're right.
And we will leave that argument for the comment section.
All I know is that in 3, I had like the full Spider People team for a while of like Peter, Miles, Spider-Gwen, and Venom.
Yeah, because they have a bunch of Spider-Verse stuff going in that.
Yeah, and the only reason I had that was because I felt it practical to have a Spider team with Venom, and I wanted to use Venom because when you're in the pause screen, he has this what I call big Venom energy, where he's just like doing this weird movement.
I know exactly what you're talking about. You don't even have to describe it. It's just that Venom vibe.
This is why we need to be in person, so I can show you big Venom energy.
I can hear your shoulders just kind of like.
Okay, you
have that exactly that like idle Mike Doling, like kind of just like whenever you get Doling ramped up, he's like, oh yeah, and he's like growling a little bit. Yeah, that.
I love it.
You remember back during ye olden days when we were talking about Venom and Mike just started doing a really scary good Venom impression from across the room.
Yeah.
And then crawled up to the microphone.
Yeah.
I still have nightmares about that. Moving right along, that is the last of our Marvel news this week. As a surprise to absolutely nobody, I think this might be the last of the big movies to get delayed. I think this is it.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think of like the really big ones that haven't called it yet. This is the final one. Gal Gadot shares new Wonder Woman 1984 poster amidst release delay news. This is from Ali Grimmel of Collider. Shortly after news, Warner Brothers had pushed Wonder Woman 84 release date from June 5th to August 14th. Unlike a lot of the other movies that have been rescheduled and moved around, we actually do have a date for this one. Gal Gadot and director Patty Jenkins showed a new animated poster and their own respective statements on the delay on social media. Gadot shared the poster featuring herself as Wonder Woman, dressed in the new golden armor, which will be unveiled in the movie. On Twitter and Instagram, the poster is staying on with the Wonder Woman 84 theme of making sure everything is as brightly colored and practically neon as possible, with the DC hero striking a pose as her armor wings rise up behind her. It features the Blue Monday music, which is in the trailer, and Gadot said the following: "In these dark and scary times, I am looking forward to a brighter future ahead where we can all share the power of cinema together again. Excited to redate Wonder Woman 84 to August 14th, 2020. I hope everyone is safe. Sending my love to you all." I'm sure she found time between doing this and singing Imagine with a bunch of celebrities, which I have no strong opinions on, just that it's kind of fucking funny. Jenkins also shared the new animated poster to her Twitter as well, with her own statement about the release delay. "We made Wonder Woman 84 for the big screen, and I believe in the power of cinema. In these terrible times, and theater owners are struggling as so many are, we are excited to redate our film for August 14th, 2020 in a theater near you, and pray for better times for all by then." And again, it's the same exact poster. Wonder Woman 84 is just a handful of big summer movies whose release dates have been adjusted by Warner Brothers as coronavirus concerns continue to impact the entertainment industry. It was also announced on Tuesday, at the same time as all of this, that Warner Brothers had removed In the Heights, Scoob, and Malignant from the release schedule after previously setting release dates on June 26th, May 15th, and August 14th, respectively. So, don't get me wrong. Like I said, I think Wonder Woman 1984 might be my most anticipated comic book movie of the year. It's between this and Eternals. However, one of the movies I was most looking forward to this year that wasn't a comic book movie was In the Heights. So I'm kind of sad that In the Heights has been indefinitely delayed. And that one doesn't have a date quite yet. It kind of breaks my heart. Because Daddy Lynn is involved with that one. But yeah. Again, nothing surprising here. You know, the studio's got to do what they have to do with all of this chaos erupting in the entertainment industry currently. Travis, your thoughts?
Not surprised. That's about it. I mean, like, what did we expect?
Yeah, exactly. Again, a story very much catered to you, as you are more in the know about the Justice League animated movie universe. So I give the floor to you, sir.
Yeah, so apparently Justice League Dark Apokolips War will end the animated movie universe, which make me very sad. I don't remember when it's actually coming out. I don't even think it says in this article.
All it says is May, which
yeah,
this wouldn't be really affected by that because this is a straight to home anyway. So
yeah, I mean, sometimes they'll do like a one shot, like kind of like with anime movies.
Yeah,
like a one-time showing in theaters. I know they did that for They did a joint one for Death of Superman and Reign of the Superman.
At our
It's
theater?
like basically, I don't know if they did it around here. I know they did one that it might not have come locally, but it was like, because it's basically just one 5-hour movie, or not 5-hour, but like 3-hour movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, and not that I thought that was the case, but I thought it was a little weird that they finally added the ones that were missing to DC Universe. So they added Judas Contract and the first Justice League Dark movie.
So good.
And then I need to watch those because I know the plot of Judas Contract, but like I haven't seen this version.
Yeah.
I haven't watched Dark. I still need to watch Wonder Woman Bloodlines because I just never got around to it.
I've only seen them intermittently. Like I saw most of Batman Bad Blood, and I've seen Dark, and I've seen Justice League War. That's it. And I really want to see Death of Superman because I love that story, and I like that they gave.
Dude, it's the best one. It's so good.
I like that they gave Bruce a front row seat to it. Because like I've said before, I've always loved the relationship between Batman and Superman. They're like, I don't even want to call it a strained brotherhood, but like, I love how close those characters are. In spite of, and them trying to do it despite of their very different worldviews. And I love the way that like Clark brings out the best in Bruce. So like that's one of my favorite episodes of like the Justice League cartoon is when they all think Superman's dead. And, Batman is the one that handles it the worst.
Yeah.
And it's like, he's the one who's like, cobbling everything together like a conspiracy theorist. Like, no, he has to be alive. He has to be alive. And the fact that you can tell that maybe he doesn't even necessarily believe that himself, but he has to believe it because he can't let Clark go.
Well, I'm sorry to say that that's not really the case with. I mean, like he's there, but it's because like they fight not Darkseid, Jesus,
Doomsday.
Doomsday. Yeah, I was like Darkseid. No, Apokolips. No, that's the planet. Other like synonym. They all fight Doomsday and get riggedy wrecked. And then Clark fights him, and it's amazing and gorgeous. Bruce kind of takes a bit of a back seat. The whole league does. Like it's a Superman movie.
Oh yes, of course.
The league happens to be there for. But yeah, when I got DC Universe last year, after I watched Titans, I felt like a need to watch good DC material.
What do you mean Titans isn't good DC material?
It's barely material.
Yeah.
I saw a thing floating, not from a credible source, but like a rumor that Tim Drake would be in season 3, and I shouted in public, "The fuck is this?" Like I just couldn't. I see Titans and I have to get angry. And I had seen Flashpoint and War on Netflix before they got pulled for DC Universe. And then they had a bunch of them on DC Universe, so I just watched them all because most of them were Batman movies.
Yeah, naturally.
Because they're like, oh yeah, Batman sells.
Here's our Bat credit card.
Basically.
Now,
like the best ones aren't Batman related.
Don't tell me that.
It's true.
I know it's true, but I will never accept it.
I watched Hush.
I'm looking forward to watching that, knowing the twist.
It doesn't make it any better.
Well, at least I'm going in prepared for it.
I went into Killing Joke prepared to like be slightly disappointed, and it was much worse. So
I remember that was something. I loaned Alexis my copy of the DVD, and because she had read Killing Joke, because she was like, I've heard so much about this. I see the movies come in. And she was like, give me the TLDR. Can I loan it from you? And I was like, yeah, of course. The comic that is at first. And she was like, oh, I'm like, this is fucked up. I was like, yeah, it's really dark. And, then explain why I like it and the whole ambiguity of the whole, did Batman kill him at the end? Did he not? In its original printing and how it was originally meant to not be in the context of the greater Batman canon. And then I saw it. I watched the movie and I was like, this is uncomfortable and unnecessary. And I don't know why they included the first 30 minutes of this.
They just, like, the whole thing's ruined.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, it's not a Batgirl story. It's not a Barbara story. And I get, like, the first 30 minutes are, like, a weird Batgirl short.
Yeah.
That could have been released on its own. And why do they have to fuck? Why does everyone think they have to fuck? But I don't... Because then it skews the whole thing, because it makes the whole thing about the fact that he assaulted Barbara.
Yeah.
And not assaulted, but, like...
it's implied. there's a lot of different,
but I don't mean like the fact that he did it. It's like, obviously, because in the original Bruce is like, you hurt my friend and you're hurting my other friend. Like, I'm going to end you now. But in this, it's not you hurt my friend. It's you sexually assaulted the girl that I like. And it changes the whole thing.
Yeah, and like one of the things that really rubbed me the wrong way about that is like
it's just a lack of understanding of the material.
It's a lack of understanding of the material and the fact that like I understand for a general audience who goes, "Oh, I've heard about The Killing Joke. I'm going to watch this." I understand the mentality of, "Oh, well, how do we make them care more about Batgirl?" I can understand doing this Batgirl side story at the top, but I think it's really weird and problematic that they go, okay, and the reason why you should care about Barbara is because she's fucking Bruce. And I don't need to know that Barbara and Bruce are sleeping together for it to hurt me emotionally when the Joker violates her in all of the ways that he does.
And then on top of that, it uses that to then as an excuse to cut out all the shit he does to Gordon. Like, it's still there.
Yeah.
But, like, all of his speeches to and about Jim are, like, that's the foundation of the comic. That's what it's about. And none of it's there. They cut all of Joker's, like, major monologues.
Yeah, except for the Insanity's, like, a backdoor one.
And that one's even like cut.
Yeah.
A bunch of them are like the main line of them is still in, and like the here we have the average man or whatever that one is. That's my favorite one.
Yeah,
it's so good, and it's just not there.
Yeah, Killing Joke was a mixed bag for sure.
No, it was bad. I'm sorry, it wasn't a mixed bag. It was bad.
For me, then I totally understand that. For me, I was able to just be like, okay, I'm going to pretend the first 20, 30 minutes didn't happen. And I'm just going to watch an abridged version of The Killing Joke. And
even without the first 30 minutes, like when he's hunting down Joker, they're all like, yeah, I heard he did this thing to that girl. Oh, man. And like, it just like the whole thing is warped. Even without that first 30 minutes.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. That
anyway,
one is
back to good animated movies. I'm sad to see these ones that are ending. They did the animation quality dipped a bit after Justice League War, and then shot back up with the Superman ones, which I was happy to see.
Oh, I'm sure.
And then I haven't watched, like I said, I haven't watched Wonder Woman Bloodlines yet. But I've watched all the other ones, bar, Dark, and Judas Contract, and they're all, like, pretty solid.
Yeah, that's what I've heard for the most part.
You know, it's like, yeah, this is pretty okay. Except, again, like, they just can't adapt Batman books well. I don't know what it is. But, like Hush is fine. Like, Hush is okay. Again, it kind of drops the ball a bit at the end. But instead of it being this really gross skewing of the original point, it's like kind of just, I can't even say it's an abridged version. It's a different story.
Yeah, I mean, it changes dramatically when you change who Hush is and the arc of that. So that makes sense. I'm looking forward to watching all these. Like, I have the time. I didn't realize they were all on DC Universe, so I'm probably going to pop on and blast through some of these to get ready for the ending, especially Death of Superman and Reign of the Supermen.
They is good.
I know, and I can't wait for you to watch Justice League Dark because, like I've said before, I am not one to say that only X actor can play X character because I think that's unfair, and I think you create an overly high bar for entry for other actors and make their jobs more difficult, i.e. anytime there's a new Joker actor and there's the immediate you can't top Heath Ledger argument and stuff like that. So saying that, I don't think anybody else can play Constantine other than Matt Ryan. I think that man was born to play John Constantine, and he is one of my favorite parts about this universe. Swinging back from good DC content, we're going to talk about some aggressively mediocre DC content, even though I love this movie with all of my heart, and I hate myself for it. Over the weekend, the comic book movie auteur himself, Zack Snyder, did a live watch-along party of Batman v Superman to celebrate its 4th anniversary, because I do share a birthday with my misunderstood masterpiece. I can hear Travis rolling his eyes at me.
I rolled my eyes. I shook my shoulders. I almost tossed my microphone. So many things.
So for those of you who are going to be looking at the show notes, the first link is just like the initial reaction to when Snyder announced the watch party. And we have one of Zack Snyder's first hot take here was him explaining his decision to have Superman kill Zod. The moment Superman snaps General Zod's neck might be as big of a superhero moment as any. Despite going against everything Supe stands for, he still broke down and did what had to be done. Now the filmmaker says the jaw-dropping Man of Steel moment was done out of necessity, as he personally dislikes superhero flicks without stakes. During the watch-along, the fan-favorite director, revealed all kinds of tidbits, not only from Batman v Superman, the movie he had been watching at the time, but the other superhero movies that he helmed. At the beginning of Dawn of Justice, Bruce Wayne observes Superman and Zod's fight from afar, and that's when Snyder began dropping some knowledge about the battle. And then here's his direct quote. Even if we understand from this outer perspective that Superman is saving the world, being essentially terraformed into another planet, the greater good is being served, he said. It's like an Ozymandias type scenario when a big sacrifice is made to save the world, and I would say that not even intentionally in this case, Zod is a powerful dude. To suggest that you could defeat him nearly winning is not realistic. I think it's just to say merely winning is not realistic at all, or the kind of consequences I wanted from my superhero movies. I don't like this idea where there's no consequences, that these characters get to knock around in our world and they create and solve these giant problems, was his direct quote. I still don't understand why he had to kill Zod, especially in such a brutal way. One of my biggest things with that scene has always been the fact that, I don't like that Superman executes him, if that makes sense. I would have been fine if, he killed Zod in combat.
Why doesn't he just fly up?
There's just a number of things here that I've just never...
I'm okay with him killing Zod on the basis of, how are they going to contain him otherwise?
Yeah.
That's always been my thing with that scene. is like it makes sense in the like not necessarily in that exact moment where it's like now that you've decimated an entire city, I have to save this one family of people. Come on, Soups. But like obviously that obviously that fight has to end in Zod dying because they have no way to re-imprison him.
Yeah.
You know, so that's fine. I don't even necessarily mind that that's how it happened. I just like, I don't know. I don't have many problems with Man of Steel, other than the fact that it's too Kal-El and not enough Clark Kent.
Yeah, that's fair. And I can agree with that. My biggest thing is just, I don't, I'm not one to defend the trope of the hero who like indiscriminately kills over the course of their whole journey and then gets to the big bad and goes, "You're not worth destroying. I'm better than you, and I'll prove it by not killing you, the main villain responsible for all of this." Not to say that I'm defending that trope. I just don't. There's just something icky about Superman executing him. And that, like, at that point, he could have incapacitated Zod because Zod had run out of steam. And you're totally right about, like, what the hell do you do with him? How do you imprison him? Granted, you could bring in all type of, the shit. I'm drawing a blank now. What's the DC version of the negative zone?
Is
it the Phantom Zone?
Yeah, Phantom Zone. I was about to say, like, isn't it also called the negative zone? But I know it isn't.
Yeah, I didn't think it was also. I knew it was Phantom something. I didn't know if Zone was this was.
Yeah, I think it's the Phantom Zone.
Well, like, and you could have come up with some type of Phantom Zone bullshit or something.
No, you couldn't have though. Like, not in the moment. Like, there was no way for him to, like, even if he knocked Zod out, that gives him like maybe 20 minutes.
That's my thing, though, is that, like, I think if they found a way to, like, bring the fight away from that moment where where Clark is put in that situation of executing him, like, I think if they avoided that outcome altogether, you can find a way where you don't have to have him kill Zod, and you can obfuscate all of this.
I don't think there is, though. Like, there's no way to get it into the narrative at any other point, and by the time the fight starts, it has to end.
You're right, yeah.
Can't incapacitate him and then spend time getting the Phantom Zone put together or like finding a thing to put him there and not have Zod wake up. Like,
yeah, or like have something stupid where, like, and again, like this
oh my god. The fight ends, Zod's knocked out. Perry White comes out from the rubble. So what do we do now? The Phantom Zone projector falls out of the sky literally from nowhere.
I was going to say, like, maybe you, like, knock Zod back into, like,
that's
the wreckage.
That's my canon way. That's how it happened.
Okay.
That's how it happened.
Okay, we'll do it that way. Lawrence Fishburne just sarcasms the Phantom Zone projector.
Yes.
Out of thin air.
There's a laugh track playing and everything. It's great.
Deus Ex Fishburne. And another classic issue people had with the movie. Zack Snyder explains why he killed off Jimmy Olsen.
Because he didn't know who Jimmy Olsen was.
I love this. In Batman v Superman, Jimmy Olsen is briefly seen working with Lois Lane as a photojournalist in Africa, where he's going to interview a war criminal. However, it turns out Jimmy isn't really a photographer. He's a CIA operative, and he's executed right in front of Lois. According to Snyder, making Jimmy a CIA operative is something he thought was cool. I just like the idea that Jimmy was...
You cut out really hard right there.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just like the idea that Jimmy was a spook for the CIA. I always felt like Jimmy, never was that capable, and to see him speak a foreign language, Snyder said. People always ask me if he's dead. Do we see him again? Does he come back to life? I don't think so. It implies a bigger universe and implies that these dominoes are falling as we go forward. We just did it as this little aside because we have tracking where we thought the movies were going to go, and we don't have room for Jimmy Olsen in our big pantheon of characters, but we can have fun with him, right? Death of Jimmy Olsen isn't the only controversial thing. The death of Jimmy Olsen is the only controversial scene that Snyder spoke about during his watch along either. He also opened up a bit about the infamous Martha scene in the film, which there's an article about that, which I will defend Martha to the day I die.
Martha!
It's really this concept of branding criminals.
Martha!
Why did you say that name? It's really this whole concept of branding criminals. The idea that Batman had lost his own moral compass and had become what he beheld. The whole idea of this movie is to create this arc where Batman confronts Superman's humanity, that he finds himself again. That's what the thesis of this thing is, that we're all humans and that we're all connected on some level. Our mothers have the same name. That is really sort of this fundamental, we both have a mother, so we are both human. Even though Superman is from another planet, his connection to humanity is so clean that Batman is able to re-energize himself. I think I might have also just delved into the Martha article. I thought I was going to talk more about Batman's brutality in that one. Okay. How did you feel about Jimmy Olsen being gunned down in the middle of the African desert?
I didn't, at the time, I don't think I even realized it was Jimmy Olsen.
That was the moment I realized people weren't going to like this movie.
I didn't care because the movie as a whole isn't my favorite, as you know. But hearing his reasoning as to why, boils my blood to the point of wanting to find Zack Snyder.
I love the explanation of he's cool because he's in the CIA and can speak a foreign language.
I did it because it's a joke. Get it? No, I don't get it, Zach.
Zack Snyder
superhero movies. Fucking stop.
Zack Snyder talks about Jimmy Olsen the way that some people think Rian Johnson talks about Luke Skywalker.
Yes. You just put it so perfectly. Oh my god. I'm not even that, it's not like I'm the biggest Jimmy Olsen stan in the world and this offends me. It's that, this is the same guy who, in response to people being like, why are you having Batman kill people, was like, if you really knew the canon, you wouldn't be... Motherfucker, who do you think you're talking to?
Oh, don't worry. That's another thing, and that's the next article. And something I think is hilarious about Zack Snyder's handling of the whole Batman being a cold-blooded killer is that he goes back and forth between Batman's always killed people and Batman didn't kill anybody. And it's so inconsistent.
Exactly. That's I wouldn't mind if you had a reason. And that's again, with the Jimmy Olsen thing just is telling for the whole process where he just did shit because.
Yeah.
And and then berated people who were why did you do this for no reason? And he's like, no, I did have a reason. No, you didn't, Martha.
Martha. So we have that. And then I'm not sure if this is my favorite one or not, but I like this one. Batman v Superman director Zack Snyder insists the people Batman blew up are, quote, fine.
They're fine. Everything's fine.
That man wasn't impaled by a harpoon.
I know who I want to impale with a harpoon.
This is again, we're just going straight for the direct quotes.
His name starts with Z and ends in Axe Snyder.
Can I get this podcast shut down for terroristically threatening this man?
It's not a threat.
This is an example of the Batmobile's armaments and its weapons. I'm sure these guys are fine, he joked. They're going to be 100% okay. They're not going to be dead. Those guys in the car there, they're 100% fine. We should have just done an A-team shot of them by the road getting up that hurt. They're fine, just for the PG-13 of it all. What was cool about that shot is when we did the first take, the car getting hit, it went It went on top of that container of the construction office and landed directly on top. It was like this crazy coincidence. It just stayed on top of the container, Snyder explained before. We were like, that looks crazy. So he had to take it down and do it again. Only this time we witnessed we weakened the containers so that it would crush it. It was only one of those hilarious coincidences where a giant car landed perfectly on top of a container. That is a metaphor I'm gonna use for the rest of my life.
It's like say that again.
It's one of those hilarious coincidences where a giant car landed perfectly on top of a container. It's like a car in a container, man. You can't handle it.
At least like he sounds there like he's joking.
Yeah.
They're like, of course they're all fine. Don't
Well, there's that. I remember when one of my favorite YouTubers, every so often he'll do these character kill count videos where he'll just like show every on-screen canon incident or instance of a character killing another one, or of that character killing somebody. And he's done some for Superman. He's done one for like Luke Skywalker, whatever. He did 2 Batman ones. I think he did 2 Batman ones. I think he did one that was just dedicated to Batfleck. And it was right after BvS came out. And everybody, it was very clear that like Zack Snyder didn't start really addressing didn't start doing technically it was manslaughter argument until right after Mr. Sunday Movies video came out. And everyone was convinced that he watched his video. Because it's like, and you just see the ticker on like all the dead bodies going up basically once a second during that car chase.
Yeah, as it should.
And again, as somebody who likes this movie, one of my biggest things is Batman killing in it. Especially because it felt like they were teeing up with Robin being dead. It felt like they were very clearly teeing up a possible confrontation with Red Hood. And my biggest thing was I think it makes the conversation he's supposed to have with Jason really cheap if Bruce, like in the last 2 years, decided he was going to stop being a murderer. For him
even like
turn around and tell Jason, don't do it anymore.
Oh yeah, no, if you're going the Red Hood route, that's like your worst case scenario is that Batman starts killing in response to Jason's death. And I don't mind that reaction if they had said so in the film. Like, if, Alfred makes a passing comment. I said this when the movie came out, I'll say it now. If Alfred makes a passing comment of, sir, you haven't been the same since Jason, right? That whole dynamic changes. And I am now, like, assuming that we don't see Red Hood and he has to be like, hey, don't kill people. It's not good. I haven't been doing it this whole time since you died. Where like if you want to have this gritty world where like Batman suffers another incredible loss and just can't take it anymore, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this much, and this is I will respectfully disagree with you on that. Is that
okay? Let me rephrase. It isn't fine.
Okay.
I think it's a valid like. If we're already going to be in this world where Superman has to full on execute Zod, I think that this is an acceptable follow-up.
No. That's the part I agree with. I got enough of it. I don't like it in the same way I don't like Superman executing Zod. I can live with it because I got enough of the, sir, you haven't been the same since Jason, from A, Bruce seeing what happened with Superman, and B, the scene where he is like is just staring with this cosmic rage at Robin's old suit. Like, that was enough for me to be like, oh, this is what this is. And seeing that this version of Bruce is more mentally disturbed than other versions, or is at least further up on that spectrum. Because again, and this is part of the reason why I don't mind the Martha thing, is that like, he's like what, in his 40s, and he's still having night terrors about the Wayne murders.
Yeah, I again, this movie was like a 6-hour script that got pushed down to a 4-hour movie that got cut into a 2.5-hour kind of movie. And I would have liked to just hear not necessarily that line, but then be more overt with it. And maybe in that like 4-hour cut that I haven't watched, Yeah,
I mean, the biggest difference between the theatrical version and the ultimate cut is Superman's beef with Batman is explained better.
Yeah.
And like,
it doesn't make sense in the theatrical cut at all.
No, it doesn't. Like it's just Superman. It feels in the movie like Superman has beef with Batman out of spite.
Yeah, exactly.
And that like Superman is like, well, it's kind of like that one viral video of like the guys standing on the lake yelling at each other. It's just like, hey you, what's your name? Tony. Fuck you, Tony. And it's like, what's your name? Ezekiel. That's a dumb fucking name. Like it's that.
Yeah.
But Batman and Superman, and they're screaming at each other from across the river from Gotham and Metropolis. And in the ultimate cut, Clark Kent is investigating like the return of Batman and how he
brands a person and then they get shanked in prison. How strange.
Yeah.
So like the branding doesn't literally in the theatrical cut, the branding is never explained ever.
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't, none of it makes sense. And I've watched explanations like here's what's got like in the ultimate cut. And I'm like, oh, that's how this movie was supposed to make sense. And it's still not that good.
Which is fair. We also get a lovely ass shot of Ben Affleck in the shower after a fight.
Oh, well, that makes it all worth it.
Yeah, all of it's right there.
Because the other big thing for me was why does everyone think Superman killed those terrorists that have bullet holes in their head?
And they're like, no, that was my
big one.
Yeah, because in the ultimate cut, they're like, no, they burned the town to the ground and like blew the place up a little bit.
Doesn't like a missile hit or something?
Yeah, the missile hits it and they also burn all the bodies.
Yeah.
So it looks like he flew through and then incinerated everybody.
Yeah.
I just saw Levi's message. But yeah. Oh, we do. Oh, okay, it's more of Zack Snyder. It's a repeat of the same quote. Travis, you're going to like this one. BvS fans argue if Zack Snyder actually understands Superman.
Spoiler alert, he doesn't.
Batman v Superman fans are arguing if Zack Snyder actually understands Superman. Twitter user named Meg said the creator understood Superman 100%, and from there the replies rained out. It makes sense to question some elements of this declaration. Many DC fans didn't like what the director did with Superman and Man of Steel, and BvS drew a lot of ire in certain circles as well for the moments between the two characters. However, today was also the day of a live-stream director's commentary of BvS from Zack Snyder, as he explained the human connection that powers his film. Snyder explained, "It's really this whole concept of branding criminals. The idea that," this is the same quote, but I think they're going to put more onto it. "The idea that Batman had lost his own moral compass and that he had become what he beheld. The whole idea of this movie is to create this arc where Batman confronts Superman's humanity and finds himself again. That's what the thesis of this thing is, that we're all humans and blah, 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 our mothers. This really sort of fundamental. We both have a mother, so we're both human." When writer Chris Terrio suggested the Martha line as a bridge, the director really, because Chris Terrio's on a fucking roll this year, suggested the Martha line as a bridge, the director really pondered how human Superman really seemed in contrast to Batman.
And that was the first time he had ever thought about it, ever.
That's a tough one, and we just, oh fuck, we sort of hate the way these articles are written because you can't tell inflection. Throwing down on their humanity, and Batman realizes Superman has humanity. He's not just a creature, he's a man. He's an alien, but he's as human as, in a lot of ways, he's human. Oh, Jesus Christ. Chris Terry was so hard to read when he's written out. But he's an alien, but he is as human as, in a lot of ways, he's more human than him, right? The filmmaker previously argued he sort of embraced all the good parts of the human race, and so Batman's able to sort of see, in a lot of ways, that they think that he is not. And I think that oh shit! And that I think that has a lot of how we started to talk about it.
Are you done having a stroke?
Yes, there's so many commas in like the way his phrasing is. It's hard to keep up with reading it.
So basically, the gist I got from that was that all of a sudden they realized that they had been writing Clark Kent incorrectly for a movie and a half and had no other way to fix it other than Martha. That's what I gathered from that.
My biggest thing with Zack Snyder Superman, Snyder Man, if you will.
Don't you dare call him that. But go on.
His superpower is slow-mo.
His superpower is a Christ complex.
Slow motion and over-the-top Christ imagery. As somebody who, like I've said 1,000 times before and will say 1,000 times again, my favorite stories with the characters I love are the stories where you irrevocably change who they are so that in contrast you see what they're supposed to be. Like The Last Jedi, like Superior Spider-Man, like Injustice, like The Dark Knight Returns. It's stories where you take the element of that character that has always been the thing that they struggled with, is when you let that aspect of them grow out of control. And with The Last Jedi, it's the concept of the Jedi that is put into question, where it's the vanity of the Jedi is what causes all of this misery, and it's Luke who's left to pick up the pieces. In Superior Spider-Man, it's seeing, even though it's not Peter, seeing this arrogance and soft-spoken elitism that Peter has, that he shares with Otto Octavius, who it's not so soft-spoken with him, but you see Peter's arrogance taken to the nth degree. With The Dark Knight Returns, you see Batman's rage and like inability to let the world be what it is grow out of control to the point where he damn near dies just to spite Clark. With Superman, I like this. I like this character study of Superman in a vacuum. That's what I'm trying to get at here. Is that I don't dislike Snyder Man unto itself. I dislike the Snyder Man being presented to the general public as Superman. Like, I would enjoy reading an Elseworld story about Snyder Man, who like a version of Superman.
I understand what you're saying. Yeah, and like
a version of Superman that wears being Superman the way Bruce wears being Batman.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. But the fact that this is supposed to be like the general audience's depiction of Superman, it is so cognitively dissonant.
And that's like, again, the problem I've had, not that I've had, but the problem I had with New 52 Superman is the same problem I had with Snyder Man.
See? It's fun to say.
No, it isn't. I gagged a little bit. Where that, like, fundamentally you focus too
gagging
much
on his meaty symbolic cross.
Why is it meaty? Why doesn't he get a wood cross like the rest of them? What?
No, oh Jesus, that's not what I meant.
It's made of steak.
I didn't mean that Snyder Man is nailed to a cross of sausage.
No, that's exactly what you said.
I think that's going to be this week's quote on the website. I think I might have beaten Mike Doling. Holy shit. Snyder Man's nailed to a cross of sausage. Mike needs to talk about dragons again this week, or I have it in the bag. It's one of the two.
Oh, God.
As you were, I'm sorry.
You're fine. Or like Superman, I watched a video essay by a Dragon Ball YouTuber I really like called Totally Not Mark, where he talks about Goku a lot. And he's talking about how Goku has a static character arc where how usually a character will bend to like to go to Dragon Ball for my analogy. Vegeta bends to the world around him and changes fundamentally because of the interactions he has with other people. The world bends to Goku. Right? And you know, other characters he meet change because they've met him. That's kind of the general thesis of most shonen protagonists. It's kind of the general thesis of every DC superhero.
Yeah.
The world bends to Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne. Right? Like, generally speaking. They can change. Like, Goku changes over the course of Dragon Ball. Clark changes over the course of his life. Bruce changes over the course of his. But in general, their core, who they are fundamentally, doesn't change, and it's challenged. But it's challenged in a way to prove that that's who they really are. And the Snyder movies do not understand at his core who Superman is.
I think that's a fair indictment, and
in the same way that like they kind of don't know who Batman is either. But there's a version of him that exists elsewhere that they can draw from.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the version of Superman that I think people find so boring. Is the Christ figure, right? It's the guy that can just do anything.
I wouldn't even go so far as to say the Christ figure. I think that's my biggest thing is that, you know, and
I'm not saying they did it well, but like the superhero that's a superhero for superhero's sake. He can just do anything.
And I don't think that, and I think that's the issue is that people, as I don't think that's Superman either. I think Superman is doing the right thing. Like, I don't think he's like this is what you just described as like the superhero for superhero's sake, using another anime reference. That sounds like the kind of person that Stain would lop their fucking head off for in My Hero. Like, they're doing it for the pageantry of superheroism, not because like, great power, great responsibility. And like, I think Superman might be the only character who wears that mantra better than Spider-Man.
That, like, the idea that Clark is doing what he's doing, like, it's not that Clark Kent doesn't have to tell himself that what he's doing is right. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, fundamentally, he just has that thing in the back of his head that's like, you have to help those people. You have to save those people. He doesn't have to tell himself, like, oh, I should save that family of people. He doesn't have to tell himself he believes in truth, justice, and the American way. That's just who he is.
Yeah.
That's his mantra because that's who he is. And these movies don't get that until Justice League, when somebody else had to write those characters for a couple lines, and you can clearly tell when it's Joss Whedon's dialogue.
I just remember, like, whenever all that happened, pre us doing this stuff, and God, I'm so upset that we didn't get to cover that. I wish I could go back in time, like, maybe 6 months before all of that craziness started, and, like, sit myself down and go, listen, you're going to start a nerd podcast, and trust me when I tell you, the getting's gonna be good with the news real soon, okay? Mustaches. Just keep that in mind. Deuces. Mustache. Also, protect the fucking gorilla. Bye.
Oh my God.
But, like, I whenever that was announced, that Joss Whedon would be, I mean, obviously, again, I hate saying the words. I was excited when I found out that Joss Whedon was taking over Justice League. Like, not because I was happy as to the why, because...
Yeah, I understand. I was the same way. I was like, that's terrible what happened, but maybe this movie will be good now. So
yeah, it was just, it's somebody who's like a huge fan of Angel and who fucking loves the Avengers, like beyond, like not just in the way that like everybody loves the fucking Avengers. Like I get more excited for Avengers movies than I do like even a Spider-Man movie, and he's my favorite character. That like there is this sense of like, oh, you have the master at writing an ensemble cast. Like, there are few people who can write multiple characters to feel fully formed in 5 lines of dialogue than Joss Whedon, as problematic as he can be with his own history. Whedon is a savant with that, and we saw what he was able to do with the first 2 Avengers movies. So, when I saw that that's what was coming, and then I saw Justice League, and I was like, oh my, like, and again, like, you can tell what scenes are Joss Whedon scenes. And I loved that.
Mm-hmm.
I love, like, because it felt like, again, like, it felt like a team of friends who all come from these very different walks of life, who all recognize the greater good. And again, the tragedy that struck the Snyder family is heartbreaking, but I fucking love Joss Whedon. But yeah, Zack Snyder's grip on Superman is one that I think would be best suited for an Elseworld story. Where, you know, like maybe you do Dark Knight Returns, but with Superman, which sounds a little Kingdom Come, but still like having a story where Superman is like, or not even Dark Knight Returns, like Spider-Man No More. And have a story where like Clark just can't keep doing this anymore because the weight of the world is on his shoulders. And eventually it's going to break him. And to have that character study of what it's like to see a Superman who is like, I can't keep doing this. And not in the way of All-Star Superman where he's running out of time.
Like literally can't keep doing this.
Yeah, where like it's Superman who's like, for my own sanity, I think I have to hang up my cape. What do I do now? And I don't know how to be this hero that the people need me to be. I don't know how to be an idea. That would be an interesting way to present Superman in a story for Superman fans who are going in expecting that. But when you present Superman with that mentality, but also including the very heavy Christ imagery that is so indicative of pure good superhero Superman, it becomes weird. Because, like, do you want me to view him as a Christ figure? Because he just said he doesn't want me to view him as a Christ figure. Am I supposed to want Clark to develop into this, or do I want Clark to become more comfortable in his own skin? I don't know where I'm supposed to go here, because you want me to see Superman the Messiah, and you also want me to see Clark Kent the flawed human. And it's just this really weird dog chasing its own tail with that characterization that baffles me, truly. That I think would be good in different context. That was a really good conversation about Superman.
I agree. It's almost why he's a good character.
Yeah.
Weird. For real, though, watch Death of Superman tonight. It's fantastic and a great palate cleanser for that talk, because you just get so many good moments.
Would I be able to watch that out of context of the greater universe?
Absolutely, yes.
Oh, okay, cool. Then I'm going to do that.
The only thing, at some point, there's a meeting of the Justice League where they make fun of Bruce for the fact that he has to go to a PTA meeting.
Oh yeah.
But you've watched some of the movies with like Damian is a very prominent character in this.
Yes,
universe.
I know, the best Robin.
We can debate that off air. It's unfortunate that he's the only Robin in this universe, but
Jason's around, right? Or did they cut him out of this one too?
Dick was Robin, graduated, and presumably he didn't have another Robin until Damian showed up.
So they don't even have Tim.
No. Well, that's why Hush is like, because Hush can't have, and it doesn't need the Red Hood twist necessarily.
Oh, that's right. I almost forgot about that scene with Clayface.
Yeah, they don't have that in the movie because they can't, because Jason Todd doesn't
exist. Holy shit.
But again, it's only like, it's not super important to the overall story. It's just like later on when he's like, we couldn't get Joker on board right away, and then we mentioned the Jason Todd gag and he was all in.
Oh, because I love that.
Yeah.
That's so fucked up.
I love they call it the Jason Todd gag is my favorite line.
Well, because at that point you have to imagine like they're all in some underground bunker hiding from Batman. And then Clayface is like, all right, Joker, you're going to fucking love this one, okay? So we're at a graveyard, right? And I jump him looking like that punk you beat to death. You dig? Yeah. And I throw a pie in his face, and then I go, waka waka. Anyway.
And if this was the 1970s, that's exactly what would have happened. But yeah, you can totally watch those movies separate of the like quote unquote greater universe. You've watched Justice League War, that's the biggest one.
Yeah.
They don't even show like that Martian Manhunter's part of the crew in this movie. I don't think they ever show him on screen joining the Justice League. Like, he just shows up.
I got to do my boy John Jones that dirty like that.
Dude.
We already basically talked about the whole Martha thing. Well, you and I haven't talked about our feelings about Martha. Like, you've made some jokes.
I think it's dumb. Like, I don't know. I can't imagine that scene ending any other way, in that dark, twisted, like, in the same way with Zod. Like, well, I don't. Well,
that's one of the things here that says, like, how do you get them to stop fighting?
Yeah, exactly. Like, how do you, when their setup to fight is already so flawed, how do you get them to stop in any other way? When you don't have any other way to contain Zod, how do you end the fight any other way? And like, because, like, there's no way he goes, my mom's kidnapped, that's why I'm fighting you. And he's like, bullshit, you know?
Yeah, well, then that's one of those big things that, like, you know, because I don't know if some people have forgotten. I know that, like, it's weird when I think about it for too long, that this came out the same year as Captain America Civil War. In fact, it came out a month or two before Civil War.
Yeah, you're right.
It was the year of superheroes beating the living shit out of each other.
Yeah, I forgot that they moved. One of them moved for the other.
Yeah,
they were supposed to come out like the same
They
weekend.
were both supposed to come out on my fucking birthday.
Yeah.
Like, I was making plans a year and a half in advance where I'm like, I am doing a double feature. I am turning 18 while watching all of my favorite characters beat the living shit out of each other.
I'll never forget the, like, stark, because I saw both of those movies with the same group of friends, and the stark contrast of walking out of BvS and I was like, in the denial of seeing a bad movie where I was like, that was okay, versus seeing Civil War where my friends had to keep me in my chair because of how giddy I was getting.
Yeah, that was me.
Like,
yeah. Well, because I remember, because I always see these movies opening night. Nine times out of 10, I see it opening night. So I'd seen it that Thursday, and then I think it was the same weekend. Or maybe it was a week or two later. I don't remember. I'm pretty sure it was the same weekend. Spencer had like a mini birthday party. And we all went to see it. And like, I had so much fun watching everybody watch the movie.
Oh my God. That was me with Infinity War, because I saw Infinity War opening night, cried my eyes out, and then went with a different group of friends the next morning. Like,
that's what I did the whole weekend.
Yeah, it was just like, I saw it like 4 times that weekend, and every time it was with people who hadn't seen it yet, and every time it get to the end, and I was like, oh, I'm going to cry again, and then I get this evil thought this like dark, disgusting thought of none of them know this is coming. And just like this big smile would crack across my face, and I'd look over at them all tearing up, distraught, not understanding what's happening, and it would just fill me with so much joy.
That's how I was with Rogue One. Because I saw Rogue One a couple times, and like again, yeah, big surprise. Jared, the Darth Vader fanboy, has a bit of a sexual experience when he watches Rogue One. Is like, because like the first time I saw it was, oh god, I think it was Spencer, Joel, and then RJ and Ian, and it was the scene where Krennic visits Vader on Mustafar. And like during the scene, they kind of glanced over at me. They're like, "Hey, it's your boy." I was like, "Yeah, it's my boy. Nothing else. This is the only Vader in the movie." And then just, moo, moo, ba, 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 and I just like every time I maniacally laughed really loudly, and like everyone's like, "Huh, huh, huh. Is Jared okay? Is Jared okay? We need to check his pulse. Did he shit his pants or did he come yet? What happened?" Like,
did he? Jesus Christ!
Like I had the opposite reaction to you, where like I wasn't able to contain it. Like I'm just like the whole movie, I'm like a kid who has to pee, or I'm just like, come on, let me see it. Let me see a murder. Let me see some murder. Give me some murder. Give me some murder. Murder time. I just couldn't contain the excitement, and I just like just nerdgasm every time it happened, and I couldn't contain it. But yeah, I like the Martha thing.
It's like the line is so dumb. Like that's my only thing with it. The fact that like that's what they connect over isn't the weirdest thing in the world, right? It's just like it's in that weird comedic way where like it shouldn't have comedic timing, but it very much does.
Yeah, and like I remember I showed my girlfriend at the time. I talked about this in Hall of Heroes before. I don't think it's come up on this show. That like I showed my girlfriend at the time Man of Steel a week before we saw BvS. And watching Batman v Superman or watching Man of Steel, I heard somebody like really like something Martha Kent. And I'm sitting on the couch and I said, "Huh, I never noticed that." She's like, "What?" I'm like, "Batman and Superman's moms have the same first name." And like I literally said out loud the words, "I doubt this is important for anything." Just a fun little nugget of information. Like that's all I was just like, "Huh, I didn't know that like having this occur to me in this moment would mean anything." And then a week later, "You have to save Martha." I love the scene, but I couldn't stop laughing. I was like, "Oh, this is really clever." Because, like, and again, like, the reason I like it is because they show that, like, there was something.
Again.
I'm sorry. The reason I really like it is because, like, they place an emphasis on. Because, like, normally with the whole with Bruce watching his parents get murdered, a lot of it comes from that place of like he saw them get shot and went like, "Oh, what the fuck is going on?" Or like this version, it seems like Bruce, you'll understand what I mean by this. Bruce was not as distraught by seeing them get shot as much as he was watching them die.
The act of them being shot wasn't what made, like, I understand what you mean. Yeah.
And that like,
he doesn't have the gun in a glass case. He might have, I don't remember. He doesn't have the gun in a glass case. He just has like vivid night terrors of it.
Yeah. And this whole idea of like that, and like the fact that like his mother is non-responsive and his father's last words are Martha. And that like how overwhelming that is for Bruce. Again, he's well into his 40s, and we've had this conversation before. Batman never really gets over his parents' murder, but in most versions of him, there comes a point where he's able to like eventually swallow that pill. It will always be with him. It will always haunt him. It will always be a part of him. But eventually he is able to as best as he can move on. And is able to move his motives from I'm fighting to avenge my family, and it is I am fighting for the city they would have wanted to see. Where with this version of Batman, he's never gotten past it. He's never gotten past that initial hump of I saw this horrific thing and it fucked me up. And because there is that can you hear me still?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Sorry, I noticed, do you know how Mike Kalinowski's doing that like admiration and inspiration thing?
Yeah.
Guess who his one was about today?
It's either Smets or Stroka.
I think Roka was one of his first ones.
Oh, you're right, because he did the thing about how he directed him in a play, yeah.
Yeah, it's about current reigning Inner Geekdom champion, Kevin Smets.
I never thought I was going to say these words out loud. I am rooting for Chandru Dandapani just because fuck you. Anyway, the reason I asked if you could still hear me is because I realized Mic 2 was turned up and I just turned it all the way back down. I didn't know why it was on. And I was like, oh, hey, the sound quality is much better now. Anyway, you piss off with you and your Kevin Smets bullshit. Anyway.
Are we recording right now?
Yes, we are.
My boy.
Oh, good. You didn't.
Anyway, you were saying.
By the way, I also sent that thing I sent you about Kalinowski. I sent that to Spencer as well, and Spencer was like, "Isn't it though?"
Oh, wait. I forget what your exact wording was.
My exact wording was, and I quote.
Yeah, wait, I can look at it.
It's saying this shit out loud in front of a hot microphone that is going to make it so that I never get to compete in the Schmodown.
You don't have to. I just found it.
Okay. Mike Kalinowski's a good-looking guy. That's all.
We can agree on one thing about him at least.
Oh, okay. This is going to turn into a whole different conversation in a minute. Anyway, I like the Martha thing because for once in my life, I agree with Chris Terrio about a character decision. And it is that I like this idea of Bruce finding his humanity again. That's one of my favorite lines in Justice League. Bruce's whole, he's more human than I am. I love that.
No, that's the best Batman line in this series of movies.
And this is the best we have of like Batman having that moment of retrospect of introspection, and just like the way the switch flips. Like we go from like Dark Knight Returns Batman to like Batman. Whenever like he screams, he throws the spear, he looks at Clark and he looks at Lois and he says, "You have my word, Martha doesn't die tonight." And it's just that moment where like it's not even rage, it's just him like seeing a path and his like path to victory. And you know, the way that he, again, don't like the killing, but the way that he handles KG Beast is that, you know, he sees Martha at gunpoint. You know, and I think that like this, I think not necessarily that it makes more sense, because I don't think it's that it doesn't make sense, but like the mentality of when you stop saying Superman's mother or Martha Kent, if you just say Martha, Bruce Wayne sees Martha at gunpoint and has the chance to stop this man, and has that moment of, "Oh, I'll kill her. Believe me, I'll do it. I believe you." Like he's like, "Yeah, I did this before. It's not happening again." And I think it's him getting the closest he will ever come to the idea of getting that, of avenging his parents, but doing it from a place of love and not his own personal vengeance, that he's saving somebody else's mother. I think the fact that that is what wakes Bruce Wayne up from the murder rage is brilliant. And while I troll and say that Batman v Superman is misunderstood, and I say that, and I know I don't honestly think Batman v Superman is a misunderstood masterpiece. I think it's a good comic book movie that unfortunately needs an extra 2 hours attached to it to be that good. I don't think it's Avengers tier. I don't think it's any of that. I don't think it is amazing, but I like it a lot. And the reason I like it is because as ham-fisted as Snyder can be with his character analysis, with his character study, is that there are nuggets in there that are really good. And that, like, yes, does he mishandle the execution of Superman's character? Totally. Does he get the Christ imagery? Yeah, he does. And we make fun of it. But he's really good at one of those things that I like with Clark is him being this Christ figure. And I think he knocks that out of the park. Whether or not he executes Clark's actual character is a different discussion. The same way of this whole idea of Batman being a force of fucking nature. I don't like that he kills. But the fact that Batman is inhuman is perfect. Like, there are things in this movie that are so good, I can forgive its shortcomings.
Well, that makes one of us.
Yeah. And I'm sorry that it doesn't for you. With that, that is the end of our little impromptu BvS retrospection. A retrospective, which was kind of fun. I like that. We should do this more often. It's almost like we've talked about doing retro movie reviews for a long time.
Weird.
Yeah, right? With that, Travis, I give you the floor, sir. What have you been watching, reading, listening to during your last week in quarantine, sir?
Well, first of all, I can't read. Let's get that out of the way right now.
Is that canon? Is that TNAP canon now?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I'm trying to think. I watched Tom Segura's new stand-up special on Netflix.
I haven't watched Segura's. I had it playing in the background and I fell asleep.
It was okay.
Not because it was boring. I was just sleepy.
You know what's funny, though? My friend Carlos said the same thing. He watched it but fell asleep halfway through. Not because it was boring, but because it was late and he was tired.
Yeah.
But I thought it was okay. I beat Assassin's Creed 4 for the first time this week.
Oh, yeah. How'd you like that?
I played through. I didn't realize how far in I had played. I played through most of the game before, and when I went back to it this week, wanted to just start fresh. I really enjoy it. I enjoyed it because it's not really an Assassin's Creed game. I spent way too much time collecting all of the computer files in the 2013 part of the story. I didn't expect, because I hadn't made it that far in my previous save file. I didn't expect to talk to a floating digital spirit at 3 a.m. That kind of, I'm not going to lie, it kind of freaked me out a little bit.
Can you walk me back through that? Because I remember it, but I don't remember all of it. I remember that it happened.
So you're hacking stuff at Abstergo, and eventually they know there's a hacker, so they lock you all in a bunker under in the basement. And you get out again and you're hacking some more, because why not? And you realize at first it actually could threw me for a loop. I didn't expect this and I had no idea it was happening. I thought that the guy that was leading you around was Desmond's dad. Because you're delivering the information to Rebecca and Sean from the previous games. I thought that the IT guy leading you around was going to be Papa Miles, and I was like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Not realizing that he's setting you up the whole time to become the vessel for the god Juno.
Yeah, that's right.
And then she kind of pops out and goes, "Nah, I don't think so," and then leaves.
Yeah.
Juno
just gives you a solid thank you next and fucks off with her dad.
Basically, yeah. Which apparently that storyline only gets resolved in a comic book.
Seriously?
Yeah,
because I know it doesn't get touched in Unity or Rogue.
Yeah, it doesn't. I think it just gets completely dropped and then gets resolved in a comic book.
That's funny. Oh, that's hilarious. So you liked Black Flag then?
Yeah, I liked it the first time I played it too. I just never got around to finishing it. But like I said, like it's just fun because it's a pirate game.
Yeah,
Like it's a good pirate game.
it's a very good
that happens
pirate game.
to be about Assassin's Creed stuff. And that's probably I wouldn't say it's the weakest part of the game. I liked, with the lack of real story in 3, having a legitimate story in 4 felt really nice.
Yeah, I agree. I also like the flash forward epilogue that Edward gets.
Yeah, I was very not put off because I expected that to happen. Right?
Like seeing him once he's settled down and become like a proper...
Well, yeah, because Hatham mentions in 3, like, yeah, my father took me to this once. And that, like, okay, so when is he, like, not pirating long enough to take Hatham to the opera?
Yeah.
Right?
Also, what the fuck happened to Edward Kenway that he's going to operas?
Yeah, and again, like I think they mentioned he was a pirate in 3, but not at that point. So at the time, you're just like, oh yeah, okay, he took him to an opera. That's cute. But yeah, I don't know. Next, I'm going to be playing through Syndicate because I bought it on the cheap.
Yeah.
I played like the first couple hours of it, and the free running is not good. Because they changed it from 3 and 4.
Well, they change it. Unity's the first one that has the different free run.
That's what I assumed.
Yeah. Once it made the generation jump, they were like, we're going to mix this up now.
Well, 4 was on both, but
4 was on both. Yeah, that was like the transitional game.
But yeah, I haven't liked the free running so much. I also don't understand why combat has to take so long when I have a knife on my wrist. But
yeah, see, I like. This is Unity. You and I had this conversation off the record before. I like Unity, Unity a lot. And granted, I didn't play it until like a month after most of the game-breaking bugs had been fixed. So no, I was not among the first class of people who were stuck with this unplayable game. But
well, I've never even touched Unity.
I like the story a lot. I like Arno as a protagonist. Like he's similar to Edward. Like he's very headstrong, and his journey has a lot to do with him becoming a more full person. So I like it.
It's almost like that's a running thing in these games.
I mean, yeah, you're right. He has a lot of that Edward energy where like Edward.
You just cut out. You've cut out so much.
I'm sorry.
And I know you're pausing too, which makes it worse because I'm like, did he pause or am I losing words?
No, I don't know how to explain it. I like Arno a lot as a protagonist, and the aesthetics of Unity make me really happy. So that's a lot of that too.
I like a lot about I like the look of Syndicate.
Yeah.
I like being able to play as a girl assassin for once. I think that's kind of cool.
Agreed.
I think the free running is jank, and it's going to take a long time to get used to it. I think the combat is long. Like, it's not bad. It's the same combat, basically.
Yeah.
It's just that it won't let me auto-kill people, which doesn't... Like, it'd be one thing if it made it more of a challenge, but it doesn't. It just makes it longer and annoying.
Yeah, that was one thing that, like, again, that's something that starts in Unity that, like...
Because you can get the auto kill chains and stuff starting from like Brotherhood on, but like certain enemies you can't do that to, so you have to plan how you kill them to make sure that like, okay, now that I've killed this one, I'm going to shoot this one, and now that I've shot that one, I'm going to have to break this one's defense and kill them from behind. Like, there's still strategy even though it's just a couple button presses to kill someone, versus like, I have to punch them. Why? You have a knife on your wrist that you just stabbed that guy with and killed him in one stab. Are you dumb?
Yeah, you could just knife punch.
There's no, especially when they're just punching you. Like, it makes even less sense. I'm gonna punch you. I have a knife, but I'm still gonna punch you. Why?
Because punch.
I also like. I love the running gag. I don't think it's a running gag on purpose, but to me, it's a running gag where they will only ever like reference the fact that the main character has killed the main targets and not the countless guards and random people along the way. Where like you killed 6 people to get to this one guy, and then you're talking to someone later, you've killed one person and you think you're hot shit. It's like, no, I've killed like 25, but
I'd be like, actually, you should go outside and go take a solid look at the
like look at that, like at that haystack and that haystack, you'll find like 6 bodies in each.
It'd be like, 6 people. Sir, your entire guard company is dead now. That was me.
I just think it's hysterical. I think it's so funny.
I agree. What else have you been consuming during this time?
Honestly, that's about it. Not like because since well, okay, so the whole timeline is we recorded last week's TNAP. I worked an extra day during the week.
Yeah.
In that time, I started Doom Eternal. I haven't played much more of it. I tried the DLC for Assassin's Creed 3, broke it and quit, and then went to 4.
Broke it.
No, literally I did. So I was on a tailing mission, which are bullshit and I hate them. Which is weird that I'm playing Assassin's Creed because that's all that Assassin's Creed is. And I literally got into like this loop where I would, because like usually if you get discovered, it just restarts you at the checkpoint.
Yeah.
I had been discovered right as the checkpoint like synced up. So I keep spawning, getting discovered, desynchronizing, starting the checkpoint to have already been discovered, and then desynchronizing.
That's funny.
And I got so mad at it that...
I wonder how many people have had that bug.
Well, so I managed to get out of it.
Okay.
Like they discovered me, but the main person hadn't. So I just killed because in the DLC for 3, you get this like weird cloaking thing.
Oh, you get many superpowers.
Well, I only gotten to the point where you get one of them. So I would use that and kill them, and then continue the thing. But then there's also no way to like. I just kept getting discovered after that too, because either the dogs are bullshit. They didn't need to add the dogs. And I kill the dog, and then I'm like, okay, now I'm like 50 meters from any one person except my target. I should be fine. And then it's just like, you've been discovered. There's nobody around me. The target didn't discover me. Who discovered me? Whomstative.
Whomstative.
So I quit and played a good game.
Yeah, that you did.
And then I worked all weekend. So that's all I did was like switch between watching stand-up and playing Black Flag until I finished Black Flag.
I'm just seeing Killer's Instagram post right now. Like I randomly just opened my phone and it was right there and I don't like it. I liked it, but I don't like it.
Then why did you like it?
Because I like him.
That's not how that works.
I like the rightful Inner Geekdom Movie Trivia Schmodown champion.
Oh, I didn't know you liked Kevin Smith.
I'm going to break your knees when this quarantine's over. I'm going to fist fight you.
I'm just going to keep saying it over and over that your boy got KO'd in round 4.
I thought it was... I'm not even going to correct you because if I'm right, it's even worse. So we're just gonna...
That's what happened though. We got KO'd in round 4.
I thought it was round 3.
No, I'll give you that. They made it to the round 4. I think.
I'm pretty sure it was round 3. I'm pretty sure it was during the buzzer round. Or the betting round. But anyway.
Well, because the main title was a KO as well, so that maybe that one was in round 3.
I don't remember. A lot of matches did not go the distance that night. Surprisingly.
I don't know what you mean. The Intergeekdom match was perfect to me.
You piss off, Travis.
Never.
Anyway, yeah, okay, so what all have I consumed this week? Gotta think here. Oh, yes.
Prilosec.
What'd you say?
You consume Prilosec.
I don't think I've ever taken Prilosec.
Consume
Prilosec. I typically get behind the curve with like really big trendy stuff. Like You, the show on Netflix. The most recent season's been out for a little over a year, and it took me this long to watch both seasons. However, social media, for once in a very rare occurrence, convinced me that I need to watch the hot trendy thing. And that is Netflix's Tiger King.
Not you too.
Travis, you need to watch this show.
So, from what I understand, because when I saw this, I thought there was another mockumentary that was like the top shit on Netflix for a while.
Yes, American Vandal. American Vandal.
Yeah, that was hysterical. I loved that. I know that this is real. I know that this isn't a mockumentary.
Unfortunately, this is humanity at its finest.
And just, I don't have the capacity. I can't right now.
Okay, so from somebody from the outside looking in, what do you know of Tiger King?
I actually watched someone review it this morning.
Who did you watch review it? I want to watch a review of it.
Jeremy Johns.
Okay, I'll watch it. I don't love Johns, but I'll watch it.
He has some hot takes that I don't agree with.
I don't dislike him. I mean, yeah, I'm the same. Like, he's one of those.
I like watching his. He doesn't try to be a regular reviewer, like a film critic. He's like, I had fun watching this movie. So, like his review of Suicide Squad, that is now infamous.
I didn't even know he had an infamous Suicide Squad review.
He gave. So you know how his rating system works?
I do not. Like I said, I've only watched his videos from time to time. I'm not super into him. I don't dislike him. He's just not for me.
So he has this rating system.
He seems like a nice guy.
That goes dog shit. Won't remember it in a day. Better time if you're drunk. Good time, no alcohol required. Buy it on Blu-ray. And Awesome-tacular are his like tiers of rating a movie.
Okay.
And like, better time if you're drunk isn't necessarily like this movie was bad. It was, those movies.
Oh yeah.
Like it was fun, and I'd have a better time if I was drinking it with friends. Not unlike Batman v Superman. I don't remember what he gave Batman v Superman, for the record.
I will say this much: I love Revenge of the Sith sober. Revenge of the Sith, when you have a couple belts in you, is a fucking hoot.
That's exactly. So when he had kind of the same reaction to Suicide Squad that you and I had.
Okay.
Where we watched it and we're like, that was incredibly fun. And he gave it a buy it on Blu-ray. Which, if you will like realize, that's his second highest.
Yeah,
tier.
That's basically his B.
And people just ate him the fuck up. Like, and he's a very non-serious film critic, if you want to even call him that. And he admit, like, that's his whole thing, is he's just like a normal guy that likes movies and talks about movies. And so it's like, yeah, I really liked watching this one. I thought it was really fun. And everyone was like, we're going to burn you at the fucking stake.
That's hilarious. I didn't know that happened to him. Poor guy.
Yeah. It was, I mean, he took it as well as he could. He made fun of himself for it. It was hysterical. But So I watched his review of Tiger King, and just so I know, like it's about this guy who basically owns a zoo of tigers, and is named Joe Exotic because, of course, that's his fucking name. And I haven't seen, like, surprisingly, I haven't seen that many memes about it.
Oh,
besides the ones you've shared around, and the ones that are meta about it, like I'm so sick of seeing Tiger King memes already, you know. And I'm like, I haven't seen that many, but I'm kind of okay with that because they're so, like, I just don't get them.
So, okay, so that is your baseline understanding of Tiger King.
Yeah, like I understand the main premise.
Okay, now this is how I'm going to blow your mind, and this is how I think I'm going to convince you to at least start watching some of it tonight.
It's what I just heard.
Oh, okay. I said, if that is your basic understanding, I'm going to hit you with this, and maybe I'm going to convince you to at least start watching this, like, start watching it tonight. Okay, you ready?
I'm ready to prove you wrong.
There are two other tiger cults that are involved in this craziness, and I call them tiger cults because that's what they fucking are. They are cults. Mild spoilers for Tiger King, but like I can just tell you shit and it's still like less believable than actually watching it. Or that made sense, I think. So there are two other tiger cultists involved in this documentary. There's a woman named Carol Baskin who basically runs Discount PETA.
Yeah, I knew that one too.
And the big thing with her is that a lot of people are like 99% sure she fed her millionaire husband to one of her tigers. And I am not going to spoil what happens, but at one point towards the end of the documentary, she kind of tells on herself. And it's really disturbing, but also really funny.
I need you. Oh, God. I need you to understand that I just heard by the end of the documentary, she dead space. It cut you off perfectly.
By the end of the documentary, she kind of tells on herself. And like, if this was a detective movie, gave away that she probably killed her husband by feeding him to a tiger. So there's that. And then there's another man who also runs a tiger park named Doc Antle. Now, Doc Antle has a doctorate in the mystical sciences. Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so PhD in mystical science, has multiple wives, and all of his wives are people who work for his park. And all of those people are, when they come to work for him, he makes them legally change their names. Like a lady will come in and her name is Jennifer. He'll like have her change her name to something that sounds like stereotypically and like kind of offensively African. Or just a weird exotic name like this. Like again, like he just like, oh, your name's Alice. Your name is China now. That kind of shit. They're just like weird exotic names. Okay. This man I've never heard anybody be as defensive about anything. Like people would be like, hey, what do you think about this issue? What do you think about that issue that is in this community? He goes, you're not going to get me to say anything about it on camera. Like he's super aggressive about everything. Travis, I need you to watch Tiger King. I need you to experience Tiger King. You and I have like the same brain for the most part, and I need you to experience what I've experienced because you will be a happy man by the end of it.
Well,
give me 2 episodes tonight and it will change your life.
I can't. If I have to edit the show, I have homework to do. I can't.
Okay.
I can't say that I won't watch it in the near future.
Which you should.
I also can't promise that I will watch it in the near future.
I will pester you until you do. I will Levi you. I will Levi you into watching Tiger King. And I say Levi as a verb because he pesters me into watching material that I end up fucking loving. And he just pokes and pokes and pokes and pokes and pokes and pokes. And now I have a very, very loving man crush on Bakugo. And love Death Note because Levi.
I would rescind that last statement. That boy is 16.
I mean, okay, I stan him. I'll put it that way.
That's acceptable. I say it. I understand he's a cartoon.
Crush insofar as like, oh yes, give me more of this content.
You stan him. You're a fan of him, and that's all you need to say.
Yes.
That's all.
I forgot in the anime community that you have to specify that you aren't pedophilic towards cartoons.
As opposed to real life where you can be pedophilic all you want.
Yeah, well, that community for whatever reason has a big issue with that it happens a lot.
Because Japan has a big issue with it and we don't need to talk about it right now.
You know what? I think you're right. But yes, so Tiger King changed my life and it's so fucking funny. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. You're gonna be like me, where you're like, I can't put the remote down. This is just so insane. And like you like a good story that just ramps up and gets dumber and dumber and dumber and dumber and dumber as it goes. Like when hearing like a silly story from a friend, that's Tiger King. But it's like 6 to 8 episode docuseries.
Part of it though is that like when I'm told to watch something, I enjoy it a lot less versus when I just like watch it on my own.
That's understandable. I get that. Yeah. I also miss
trends, so I'll rewatch it in like a year and a half's time and be like, "This is hilarious," and everyone else will go, "Yeah, we know, we told you."
We were all talking about Joe Exotic like he's a personal friend during the quarantine. Aside from that,
I'm gonna save that sentence as a clip and play it back to you next year. As a reminder of where we are in our lives right now. That was just a valid sentence you just said.
Pretty much. But yeah, I watched Tiger King, and I'm honestly considering rewatching Tiger King. I replayed and beat The Force Unleashed 2, as well as the DLC.
Haven't played the DLC.
Oh, it's a lot of fun. I know
what it's about. I just never got around to it.
Well, the weird thing was, I re-beat the Endor DLC yesterday. And literally, like I beat it. I was looking at the credits. I opened my phone. I opened Twitter. And the first thing I see was Madison from Doing Talking. I think it's Doing Talking and Who Talks First. I get them confused.
I think it's Doing Talking.
I know. I feel like such a bad colleague. But also their names come from the same line of dialogue. Hold on. I need to make sure I'm saying the right one because I think you're right as well. Yeah, okay, Doing Talking. So Maddie from Doing Talking was tweeting about how because the I know you know this, but for the people at home, the final battle, because the Force Unleashed DLC from both games, they set this precedent in the first game and followed it up in the second one, where they give you DLC that follows up the dark side ending, because the dark side ending typically in the first game, you killed Darth Vader and took his place. So now that you've completely fucked up the Star Wars timeline, here's what happens after that. Same thing with this one. You don't kill Vader, but you're killed by a clone of you. And it's implied that Luke died on Hoth, and Leia becomes the new Jedi to save the galaxy. And Leia's outfit is I don't want to say snug insofar as like it's like skin tight and like obnoxious, but like it is a well-fitting white Jedi tunic. Like she's wearing all white, and she has a yellow lightsaber. And I remember whenever Rey's outfit for the Rise of Skywalker was revealed, I was like, oh shit, she kind of looks like Leia in the Endor DLC. And then at the end of the movie, she has a yellow lightsaber. I'm like, oh, this is fucking great. And then yesterday, like I finished the gameplay, like I beat Jedi Leia. I look at Twitter, and the first thing I see, and I was about to tweet about it too, and it pissed me off that I was beat to it by like 2 minutes. I see everybody going, holy shit, I didn't realize that Rey's basically wearing Leia's outfit. So it was really cool because, you know, like everybody kind of had that groupthink moment. And it wasn't groupthink in the negative way. It was groupthink in the, hey, I noticed this. So that was fun. Fun little nostalgia trip. I replayed the original Battlefront 2. I played through the campaign mode and some of the Galactic Conquest campaigns. Trying to think. Other than that. Oh, yeah, and I remembered how much I love the Deathly Hallows Part 2 because that was on during my birthday. And, oh, yeah, so I wanted to talk about, like, YouTubers we're watching, just, like, outside of traditional media. Obviously, the both of us have been watching some more news, which amazing political content, kind of the best. What else? Legal. Have you watched any of the Legal Eagle?
Very little.
I love him so much.
Like when he has a video that like goes viral-ish, I'll catch it, but I'm not subscribed to him.
I see. I was watching some of his stuff this week as well. Travis was so kind to get me into one of his favorite YouTubers, Gus Johnson and Eddie Burback. Absolutely hilarious. Not like I need to shout them out. But I was watching his Mousetrap Blackjack, which is very fun. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, and also the podcast that get me through the week typically, the Cracked Podcast, which... The Crack Podcast, How Did This Get Played, and then a bunch of NPR shit to get me through the week, which I think everybody should be listening to because you need some news, and NPR is probably the best and most unbiased you're going to get. But yeah, that's about it. And we ended up turning what seemed like it was going to be a brisk episode to a nice 2 hours, but what else are you guys doing with your time right now aside from listening to us flap our jowls?
Act like that's a surprise.
Yeah. I think the BvS
I didn't think it should be that long until you were like, hey, there's 8 articles for this story about BvS. And I was like, why? Why do I have to suffer?
But we had a really nice conversation about it.
We did. And I'm not begrudging that. But also I had to talk about BvS.
Well, I'm happy we got to talk about the movie. I love and wish I didn't. With that, Travis, where can the lovely people find you?
They can find me at home where I don't get to stay because I'm essential.
You are essential to all of us.
And on Twitter and Instagram at Travis Political.
That they can. For you tweeting about being essential and fighting robots.
Essential!
That's funny. You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at DarkJedi2552, and you can find the Nerd Academy on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, as well as our website, www.thenerdacademypodcast.com, where you can also find, if you're feeling generous, our Patreon page, where you can chuck in a buck and help us keep the lights on around these parts. If you subscribe to the Patreon and donate to us, you will get the ability to submit questions for our monthly Q&A, which will be coming up at some point. Maybe Travis and I might have to do that through as a Zoom call, which will be a fucking hoot. Just do one massive Zoom Q&A, a Zoom and A, if you will.
Zoom and A.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. Be sure to tune into the other shows. We got a new episode of Campus Life out where we're talking about Corona news from 2 weeks ago. So go back and listen to when it wasn't quite as bad.
Oh yeah, we have to do that again this week, don't we?
Yeah, we have that on Wednesday. It's the heavy week this week. And then be sure to tune in to Knights of the Nerd Republic, where we are bringing you all of your Star Wars news and reviews weekly of the Clone Wars. So yeah, it's a good time. Thank you guys for listening. Class dismissed, and your homework is to watch the motherfucking Tiger King.